Hello, and welcome to Badger Talks Live, which brings exciting happenings, resources, and talent from your UW flagship campus to the people of Wisconsin and beyond. I'm Sabine La Liberté, a rising senior studying psychology and global health. I'm originally from Manitowoc, Wisconsin. I'm pleased to introduce the Associate Director for Advising and Outreach in the Office of Student Financial Aid at UW-Madison, Greg Offerman. He will be sharing details about the Wisconsin Serving Aid programs, as well as methods to advise and connect with the students of our state who wish to invest in their higher education. Greg is part of a team which is passionate about supporting student access to higher education through financial aid advising and outreach with campus and community partners. A native of Iowa and graduate of the University of Northern Iowa, he has been serving the University of Wisconsin-Madison since 2011. Outside of work, he enjoys being involved in the Madison area community and spending time with his wife, Kelsey, family, and friends. Greg will be answering questions at the end of the presentation, but feel free to post them in the chat at any point. Please welcome Greg Offerman.
All right, thanks so much. Glad to be here, and thanks Sabine for that nice introduction. So, like Sabine mentioned, I'm a UW-Madison person now. I grew up in the state of Iowa, but have been helping students go to school here for I used to work in athletics, so I'm going to say it's my 12th season of helping students go to school here. So I've always worked in the financial aid realm, helping students navigate their scholarships and that on the athletic side, and then 5 years ago, I was fortunate to be able to transition over to financial aid and really have a greater impact for more students through our financial aid programs, which we'll touch on here in a bit. So happy to be here, and of course, happy to be working on a Office of Student Financial Aid team and an advising team that makes it their mission every single day to support students and help them find their way to Madison and find their way around Madison, and then find their way onto a successful career afterwards. So I want to start us off today with a little bit of true or false. So we'll there we go. We'll jump right into to talking about access a little bit. So more than 2 out of 3 in-state applicants are admitted. True or false? I'm looking for the chat here. I'm not sure if I can see it, but we'll give people a few seconds here to come up with their guests or share their guests in the chat, and then I'll share a bit of information about it. So this is actually true. Although we receive about 10,000 more applications than we did a decade ago, it isn't any more difficult for today's in-state students to get into UW-Madison. More than 2 out of 3 in-state applicants are actually admitted to UW-Madison. And we'll get to hear from Samantha Fallon here and as she shares her excitement upon learning she was admitted to UW. So we'll roll the video on that.
It was really nerve-wracking because I got the envelope. I remember my mom had set it on the table in our kitchen, and she tried to tape it shut, but she had already opened it, of course. So she was just so excited, and she was trying to play it very cool, slide it across the table, but I already knew. I saw that she had ripped into it already. So I was like, did I get in? I just asked her, and she told me that I got in. I've always wanted to go to UW-Madison just because that's always been kind of like the dream school, especially in a place like Adams. Everyone wants to be a Badger. It was just a really fun moment between me and my mom because she's always been my #1 supporter, my #1 fan. She taught me a lot about hard work, especially being a first-generation student. It's kind of like living through me almost, and so that was a win not only for me but for the both of us.
All right, up next here, we'll look at affordability. So UW-Madison costs less than half of what it would cost a Wisconsin resident to attend another Big Ten school. True or false? And this one is actually true too. So this will be a little teaser bit for some of our promise programs that we have coming up here. But we have some amazing promise programs that are funded by private donations, private dollars that support our students on campus that come from a limited income background. And on the video here, you'll hear from a student who's actually receiving a scholarship to help pay for school.
I also held that kind of misconception that I was not going to be able to afford any college education just because it is expensive. But when I looked at UW-Madison, I realized it was actually affordable. And I also applied for a scholarship that covered my tuition, and so that kind of sealed the deal with that. Knowing that I can leave with a bachelor's degree, graduated in 4 years, and have no loans, I think is probably the most exciting part about it all. So UW-Madison was kind of a whole package deal on a school that I was looking for, and that's kind of why I chose to come here.
All right, and on to number 3 here. Maybe we're catching on to a theme of the true or false here, but our students graduate, their average time to degree is 4.03 years for our students on campus. True or false? If you guess true, you're catching on to the theme. We love to keep our students on track to graduation here at UW-Madison, and right now it takes just over 4 years, 4.03 years to be exact, with the combination of strong undergraduate advising, internships, clinical placements, and summer offerings. It makes it possible for our students to do more and stay on track to graduate in 4 years. So now we'll hear from Caitlin Rowe as she discovered she could double major and still graduate in 4 years.
It was important to me to get out in 4 years because I want to be able to take the knowledge that I've gained at the University of Wisconsin and to be able to spread it immediately. I've always been a planner, so I actually ended up just really roughly marking out all 4 years of school, and then I kind of realized that college is a lot more than just that. It's a lot more than 4 years on a piece of paper. It's classes that are being offered that seem interesting to you that also happen to fall into the degree requirements and things like that. I'm so incredibly excited to be able to explore being an adult and being independent as soon as I can. And if I'm able to do that in 4 years, which I am, then I will certainly take that opportunity.
All right, and I'll just give you the answer to number 4 since we're all catching on here. This one is true as well. By graduation day, 60% of our students already have a job offer in hand. So let's go ahead and play the job offer video.
The biggest career connection for me has been my peers. Just sitting with them in class and then having internships with them, I was shocked at how many students were actually working at my internship that I knew or that were from UW. That was really impressive. They were the most represented school. The career fairs here are incredible, especially the engineering career fair. There's 400 some companies that come through, and it's absolutely outstanding. UW definitely attracts a lot of high-end companies that are really sought after. The internship that I had through the career fair led to a job before that internship ended, and that's just testament again to how great the career fair is, right? To be able to have a job lined up before you graduate, that's a big weight off your shoulders, right? Because I may not know entirely what I want to do after I graduate, but at least I have something lined up that I know I like, I know the culture there.
All right, so now we got the myth busting out of the way and the fact sharing about how our students can arrive on campus, how they're supported financially on campus, and ultimately how we can support students through to earning their degree and starting that career, getting their first job out of school. I want to share this roadmap. This little Candyland roadmap used to be the landing page for our website, and I had the forethought to grab a screenshot of it and just use it to reflect on and share in presentations like this. But I really love how this roadmap shows the timelines of our work and our team's work. The roadmap really focuses on financial aid, but I want to take a moment to imagine, if we could, what else it could focus on in a student's time on campus. So here we have the kind of the nuts and bolts of financial aid when it comes to applying for school, applying for financial aid, getting the aid offer, accepting the aid. Maybe you have a master promissory note to make sure your loan disperses. You get your aid. you pay off your tuition bill, your housing bill. You get a refund for your books or your housing and pay for those things. Then you put it on repeat year after year. But what our team really focuses on, we're fortunate that we're able to provide the financial aid, but then our team also thinks about what are other key touch points along the way that could fit into supporting the student and connecting them to our community or whatever community they're wanting to be a part of. And where do we, where do we see this roadmap ending for us? And so we really ask ourselves those questions to focus our work and make our job much more than providing the financial aid dollars that go into it. It really becomes part of our daily routine to, again, support students in a much bigger way, help them find their community, help them build skills to really be successful on campus. And again, I would really suggest that this doesn't end just with graduation. It's again, the goal is to connect students to a career and support the local economies around the state. We really want UW-Madison to be a place that can obviously attract students to Madison, but then make sure students get connected back around the state, whether that's to a home area or a new county or a new corner of the state that they haven't been before. So that's what our team does. We talk about how we can support students from recruitments all the way through to their career and supporting the entire state that way. And how do we do that? So some of our top partners that we like to work with, of course, are high schools and counselors and teachers and coaches and those important people, those family members in the community that support students. Community-based organizations are a great way for us to get connected with communities that have college completion on their radar, career connectedness on their radar. They want to really make sure that they can develop the youth of their community to be those future leaders. So those are kind of our top level partners that we're able to work with and that are set up to work with us as well. But again, anybody that is out there supporting students, we love to know about that and be willing and able to support them as well too. So this is the shout out, the call to action. If you know of anybody out there in your area that would be helpful for us to get to know, that we can kind of serve as the front porch to UW-Madison for them, please let me know, because we want to be able to do that to support, really collectively support the students that we all want to support. So jumping into access and affordability here, I'll give a brief overview of some financial aid details. We don't have enough time to make everybody a financial aid expert by the end of this, but share just enough to better equip folks to share the message and share the opportunities we have here when it comes to need-based financial aid. So when it comes to sticker prices, when you're looking at higher education, we know that those things can wow and scare families. So we're always quick to let them know of their options when it comes to determining their actual out-of-pocket costs. So, of course, being the public flagship institution here in Wisconsin, we have some great aid programs for our Wisconsin students and families. So, again, sticker price shows one thing, but based on that FAFSA and based on these aid programs that we'll touch on here coming up, there may be a fair amount of gift aid and then access to some self-help aid as well. Things like loans and work study that we can then use to make the actual cost something more palatable, something that seems a little bit more comfortable and available for students to achieve financially. So of course, if we were in, I always like asking this question, if we were in an actual room in a theater style room or a big classroom, to see a show of hands of how many people know or have heard of Bucky's Tuition Promise. It's a fantastic program that to explain it, really, we probably need even less than this slide. Most importantly, it's if a family's adjusted gross income is below $60,000, they can qualify for Bucky's Tuition Promise, which would cover tuition and fees for a period of 4 years for an incoming freshman and 2 years at a minimum for an incoming transfer student. And so again, we felt it was important to remove that uncertainty on accessibility to UW-Madison, let students know their freshman year of high school what they could potentially qualify for at UW-Madison, so they know if they work hard and get the grades and are admitted to UW-Madison, that the financial piece of it, the financial worry or concern or thought can be taken away, and we can carry that burden for students and families. So Again, it focuses just on income, not assets, which we felt was an important component, especially in our state that has a very agricultural economy. We want to make sure that, again, it's just the income, and we're not considering things like farmland or the combine or any assets that families have that you're not going to sell or be able to liquidate to pay for school. It really is just a focus on the income in that particular tax year. So that's Bucky's tuition promise in a nutshell. If the student's admitted, has filed the FAFSA, and family adjusted gross income is below 60,000, they will have tuition and fees covered for the next 4 years. So we'll take a look here at what it looks like. So this is our fall 2021 incoming Bucky's Tuition Promise class. This map actually includes Bucky's Tuition Promise and Badger Promise recipients. So you can see we have, there's only 4 counties in the state of Wisconsin that we didn't get a Bucky's Tuition Promise offer sent out to. Doesn't mean we don't have students from those counties, but just none that received Bucky's Tuition Promise. So for anybody who hasn't counted up all of the dots on that screen, there are 961 of them that were new enrollees this past fall. That makes up 21% of our Wisconsin freshmen and new transfer students received Bucky's Tuition Promise. So 1 out of 5 of our incoming Wisconsin freshman class are fortunate to receive Bucky's Tuition Promise. And we actually, for students who have greater financial need, we say they're Pell Grant eligible, we would cover full financial need for those students. So we call that our Bucky's Tuition Promise Plus program that covers, again, beyond tuition and fees. It would cover things like housing and meals, books and supplies for students based on the results of their FAFSA. So many of these students on this map, the dots on this map, have received tuition and fees, or I should say financial aid greater than just tuition and fees. They're receiving some funding that goes towards their housing, meals, books, and supplies as well. So moving along, we have, I'll start by introducing FASTrack and Banner by saying on the map, on the previous screen, many of the dots may actually be students who are FASTrack as well. So FASTrack is a program that it's short for Financial Aid Security Track. It's for our in-state Wisconsin residents that have received some form of public assistance. So, and they've indicated as such on the FAFSA. So that's most commonly students and families or even if a high school counselor or community-based organization is supporting them, students will qualify if they've received free reduced price lunch in the schools, and they indicate that on the FAFSA. So the great thing about FASTrack and Banner, again, is that it meets full financial need for our students. So if their EFC, their expected family contribution on their FAFSA is as low as it can get, it's at 0. We're providing that full financial need between grants and work study for our students. So they can, again, be coming to campus, focusing on all the things that they need to focus on to be successful and not have to worry about the financial burden of paying for those large expenses associated with school. So Banner is the Badger Aid for Non-Residents program. That's the sister program to support our students from outside the state. And of course, we have more limited options available in the Banner program. But so that's FASTrack and Banner. And we have, I'll take a moment here to really highlight the team that we have, and particularly led by Jocelyn Diaz-Valdez, who leads our FASTrack and Banner programs. They do a wonderful job of, again, supporting all of our students and making sure that each student has what they need, whether it's community building or help with finding a job or help with filing next year's FAFSA, whatever it may be. Jocelyn and Molly Jo Bouch on our team really do a great job of providing that space and hosting bi-weekly, monthly events, hosting welcome week events when students arrive on campus to make sure that they can find their community and really get off on the right foot to make sure that they're successful especially in their first year on campus. So that's just a little bit, a little teaser about what all goes into the support that's offered to our FASTrack Banner and Bucky's Tuition Promise students when they arrive on campus. Again, it's much more than us investing our dollars and cents. It's providing our love and care and support as well to make sure students are successful all the way through to their degree. And I'll touch on Badger Promise here quickly. So Badger Promise is actually a promise program that was named and has been around a little bit longer than Bucky's Tuition Promise, but it supports our Wisconsin resident first generation college students who are transferring to UW-Madison from the schools listed here on the slide. So this program guarantees free tuition and fees for 1 year or 2 years if the student is Pell Grant eligible. So again, going back to the slide, we did have a few. I'll just go backward to it there. So we did have a few. The white dots on there represent a Badger Promise recipient, and so it's far fewer, of course. But as you may guess, we probably have we do have some overlap in our Bucky's Tuition Promise and Badger Promise groups. So many students who would qualify for Badger Promise are also qualifying for Bucky's Tuition Promise as a transfer student if their income is below $60,000. So some of those white dots are turned to red on for the purposes of the map here. I just want to highlight quick our Badger Ready program on campus too, which is it's a great program for returning adult students who want to work towards the completion of their degree. So students would have to be age 25 or above or a veteran of any age and have a minimum of 24 credits from any institution and have been on a break in their educational journey for at least 2 years. So this program is designed to help students kind of re-enter the pursuit of their degree. And once they complete the initial Badger Ready program, they are admitted as transfer students to UW-Madison. So again, it provides a support for those returning adult degree-seeking students to overcome those barriers and start working towards their undergraduate degree again. So one thing that kind of goes hand in hand or could be impacted, I suppose, in a positive way by the aid programs that we have and what we're working towards combating, of course, is the big conversation around student loan debts. And so here you can see some important statistics on the student loan debt at UW-Madison. And this was this information here is pulled from the 2020 Debt and Default Report, which is compiled by our STAR lab. That's our Student Success Through Applied Research Lab. So you can see here that 57.2% of undergraduates graduated without debt in 2020. So that number has actually been on the rise. It's been climbing steadily over the last 10 years or so. So we're very proud about that. I think it speaks to the efforts that we're making to support, especially our students from a limited income background. And we're of course always working towards meeting full need for all of our students. But I think this speaks to the efforts that we're making to support those students and make sure that they don't have to borrow, especially if they don't have the ability to borrow or family is uncomfortable borrowing based on the income level. So we're doing well there, and we're excited about that. And you'll also see here that our default rate is 0.85%. So students who are borrowing are very successful in paying back their loans. That 0.85, you may be wondering, is how does that compare to others? Well, the national average is 9.8%. The Wisconsin average is default rate is 8.18%. And our peer group average of other similar institutions is 3.17%. So we continue to do very, very well with our students who are borrowing. We're supporting them as they take out those loans, having a plan to understand those loans, pay back those loans. And of course, we think a degree from UW-Madison is a great thing to have. And this also speaks to that and the ability of our students to earn and pay back those loans after they graduate. And the other big number there of our students who do borrow, the median debt of our undergraduates who is $24,130. So again, that number is also shrinking. It's slightly below the amount that would be there if a student were to be borrowing all of their federal direct loan, which comes as a result of the FAFSA. So students who are borrowing are opting to take out less than what is immediately available to them as well. And so again, we think that's a tribute to students making solid financial choices. And I'll even throw in a plug there for our team. I think our team does a great job of helping students understand exactly what it is they need and supporting them on that and helping them stick to their plan. So we're obviously very proud of that. So that's all the data and the quick hitters that I have planned to share for everybody. I know the thing about financial aid is there's a lot of details, and so for the purposes of this talk today, I wanted to keep it light and keep it brief and really highlight our promise programs that can be hopefully easily shared. We design them in a way so they can be shared quickly and with as few details as possible. So we're very proud of those things, and we're proud of the efforts that go into putting those aid offers together and putting the support offers together for our students too. So with that all being said, I want to thank everybody for joining, and we'll open it up for any questions that folks may have right now.
Awesome, Greg. Thanks so much. Hello, everybody. Fran Paleo-Moyer, Badger Talks producer. We're talking about some awesome UW financial aid resources today. And Greg, a couple of things that really stood out, so that the no debt ratio is growing, essentially. So that's fantastic news. Median debt is decreasing. I loved your visual with almost 1,000 students that are now getting Bucky's Tuition Promise, Badger Promise. Have those numbers also changed over the last few years?
Yeah, they sure have. So when it comes to our Bucky's Tuition Promise recipients, this is going to test my memory here, but when we announced Bucky's Tuition Promise in the spring of 2018, we had at that point, we kind of had our admissions applications in and financial aid offers were ready to go out. So that fall, without any marketing or early sharing of the program, I want to say we had about 748 students, if my memory serves. So it's been growing steadily year after year after year. And, I think that's attributable to a number of things. Of course, it's attributable to the students who are coming to campus, having that experience, receiving Bucky's Tuition Promise and earning their degree and sharing about that with their home areas. It can be attributed to the outreach work that our team does, that our admissions team does in the recruitment process. And for us, it's really a service-minded approach that we have. We just want to help students navigate that higher education process, really wherever they want to go. We'd love to have students here at UW-Madison, and we think we have phenomenal programs, financial support and programs to support them as well. So it's great to see that number continually grow year after year after year, to make sure that students are knowing about the options and can continue to benefit from Bucky's Tuition Promise and FASTrack and the programs that we have.
I know you're typically. Oh, sorry. Question. You're typically working with, traditional students who are juniors and seniors looking at college, but for the non-traditional student, you did mention this Badger Ready program.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if I'm a person, who's 42 years old and I have a couple of kids at home, but I want to go and further my education now, is it the Badger Ready program really that I'd be looking at, even if my income is maybe $50,000 a year, or how does that work?
Yeah, so Badger Ready would be, I guess it would all depend on the student's individual circumstance, right? The Badger Ready program is really sort of a bridge to get them back to a more full-time student status, where say you were the student that you described, Fran, and you were ready to apply for admission and get right back into it. If you were applying as a transfer student at age 42, you could qualify still for Bucky's Tuition Promise or for FASTrack as well. So those programs are available for really any transfer student, regardless of age. So we're set up to support those as well. Just it really depends on where each individual student's case and FAFSA application.
Gotcha. Okay, so it's not necessarily age limits on Bucky's Tuition Promise or Badger Promise. Okay, great. And then can you define first generation students? So what if my parent had an associate's degree? Does that discount from the first generation definition, or?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And I'll answer this with the knowledge that I know that I have right now. And so, I mean, there are different definitions of it, right? Because you hit the nail on the head, depending on what degree the student's parent may have. But for us, we would consider first generation as not having a 4-year college degree.
Okay, great. Thanks. That's good to know. And then a little bit, is there any resources you could share or where you could point people also to like private scholarship resources? And also, if they do earn private scholarships, does that then impact perhaps Bucky's Tuition Promise and Badger Promise? How does that all work together?
Oh, that is a great question, Fran, and you're leading me right into the weeds of financial aid wisdom. So, how we meet full financial need for our students is we provide grants and then $5,000 of federal work study. So, federal work study, of course, is the option or opportunity to work and earn financial aid through regular paychecks, just like you would with any other job. And so that federal work study allocation of $5,000 will actually be replaced by any outside or private scholarships that students are bringing in with them. So it's really a great way to make sure that students don't immediately see the financial aid they're already receiving from us, the grants they're already receiving from us, be reduced. Unless, of course, they're been working hard or extremely fortunate to have over $5,000 in scholarship opportunities. So that's how it works. So we that's why we built that in, just to make sure there's that buffer so students can earn and receive and keep those scholarships without displacing the grant funding they're already getting from us.
Super, thank you. And then one last question, and we do have a couple of nice comments out here. Thank you. I'm very proud of our Badgers and excited for their future. Thank you for the information. So if I'm looking at coming to UW-Madison, like when is the best time to apply for these financial aid resources? That's through the FAFSA only, or do you also do the CSS profile?
Yeah, another great question in the financial aid weeds, but we'll quickly bring that answer out of the weeds. So the only application we have is the FAFSA, that free application for federal student aid, and really we have a December 1 priority deadline for our FAFSA application, and that's just to make sure that students get that FAFSA in as early as possible, so we can then start to see and plan for upcoming financial aid year budgets and awarding. But that being said, really a student can get their FAFSA in. I always tell the student, if a student's in here in my office, they ask that question, I say, well, when do you want your financial aid by? Like that's the real answer. So if you want to qualify for our programs, it's filing your FAFSA and getting that done as soon as possible, so you know what you can expect to receive. So that's the big one. And then of course is the admissions application. And so our admissions applications are due by February 1 each year.
Great. All right. Well, Greg Offerman, keep up the good work. Always great to see all of you doing this great work around the state. And of course, we always love to see new Badgers. So thanks again for your work on Wisconsin.
Yeah, thank you, Fran. Thank you, everybody, for joining.
Thank you. All right, so Badger Talks Live will continue on Tuesday, August 23rd. We're going to be heading virtually over to the UW Multicultural Student Center and talking to their director, Claudia Guzman, who's going to be giving us an inside peek of the center and some of the great work happening there. Also visit us at badgertalks.wis.edu. You can hear the recent podcast episodes with Ben Rush, who speaks to some of our Badger Talks presenters. You can see the upcoming schedule of live talks. September, we're going to be featuring the latest cancer research at UW, so be looking for that schedule coming out here shortly. Sign up for our email list if you'd like to get the notifications about upcoming talks. And then you can also search the roster of over 400 UW faculty and staff, Greg Offerman included, who can come to communities like yours to talk about all of their areas of expertise. Thanks so much for tuning in, and we'll see you on August 23rd.